What's going on? We are live with the Deal Champs podcast. What's up, everybody? Our mission at Deal Champs is to empower and inspire listeners by highlighting real life deals with people across the nation. We also have incredible interviews with amazing guests, just like Mr. RJ Bates here today, top entrepreneurs and experts in their field. And we aim to provide valuable insights, actionable tips to help our audience achieve their own business and financial goals. I'm one of your co-hosts, Dean Rogers. Quick story on me is I transitioned from the NFL to corporate to then real estate. Been investing in real estate for a decade now in Central California. Done very, very close to 600 deals, rental portfolio, almost $10 million, and coaching students how to get started, create success in their business. You can always connect with me at deanrogers.com. And we got, as Mr. Strat Daddy likes to say, Jason Pritchard, the master of hair. What's up, Jason?
Hair is out today. What's up, boys? It's your other co-host, Jason Pritchard. Thank you guys all for tuning in. I'm really excited for today's show. Little background about me. I was in corporate America for about 15 years. I hated my life and my job, and I went all into real estate in 2014. Burned the boats, went all in. Have not looked back since. We have flipped and wholesaled close to 400 houses. I own a rental portfolio of just over 100 units, mainly in Central California. And my goal, and I know the goal for all of us on this show, is to try to transfer as many of the things that we've learned on our journeys to you guys that are watching along. Real estate has changed the trajectory of my life, and I am really, really excited to have the king closer. This is right up my alley because sales and acquisitions, that was what I spent 15 years doing, and that's what I love about the real estate business. So I'm really excited to have our special guest, RJ Bates, on with us today, man. RJ, tell him a little bit about yourself, buddy.
What's up, guys? Thank you for having me. It's an honor. And we were chatting before. It's crazy that we haven't crossed paths before, but I'm looking forward to tonight's episode. Based out of Fort Worth, Texas, same period of time as Jason. We got started in 2014, went full-time January 1 of 2015. We've done deals in all 50 states now that we're finally checking Utah off of the list. Ooh, and I didn't come up with the title of King Closer, but it's what they put on the belt back here for the Closers Olympics. So two-time Closers Olympics champion now. So excited to chat with you boys. Looking forward to the episode.
Yes, sir. Well, dude, thanks so much for being on. Guys, if you are listening to this on YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe. If you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, hit us with a 5-star review. And then you can follow all of us on Instagram. For myself, it's at Dean Rogers Real Estate. Jason is at Jason Pritchard. And RJ, what's your handle again?
It's just at RJ Bates III.
Made it
just
easy.
like my name.
There we go. Well, dude, I'm excited to dive in because you have been taking the internet by storm. And I want to say I found out about you years ago for the first time from the Closers Olympics. Okay. And just this dude who was closing deals. And then you had like this period of time where you went traveling across the nation, doing deals all over the place. Like, dude, this guy's wild, man. But one of my favorite things to watch today is just your closing over the phone, because you have such a unique style that's, in my opinion, kind of hard to replicate. I don't know. You might have a different opinion, but you just give it to them straight and they're like, okay, yeah, let's do the deal. Like, I don't know how else to explain it. It just, you make it look so easy. And that's why you're the king closer. So, dude, tell us how you even got into real estate. What were you doing before? Like, give us the journey here.
Yeah. So me and Cassie, my partner, we started our first business in 2010, early 2011. And what we were doing was insurance supplements. So we were doing claims and boosting those up for like roofing contractors. So say, hailstorm hits a roof, insurance says, here's $10,000. We say, hey, you missed these 5 line items. Boom. Boosted up to 15,000. We were taking 1% of that. That led to me realizing all of our employees had no idea how to talk to insurance adjusters like they were a roofing contractor. And because we're an entrepreneur, I was like, hey, we can do whatever we want. So 5 p.m., we shut that down and we went out and we went door knocking to sell roofs because we can do whatever we want. So we're going to go sell roofs. And I had a little bit of a background in roofing sales and roofing from my, late teen years. And so we started doing that. And then one day when I was picking up a check from a homeowner, he said, "Hey, do you do remodeling?" "Of course we do." He said, "Okay, cool. I'm flipping a house." He said, "The keys are in the mailbox. Go over there, write me up a bid. The project's yours. Let me know how much it's going to cost." From there, I started asking questions. "Hey, how'd you find this house?" "I bought it from a wholesaler." Go home. What's wholesaling? And learned enough to realize that what I was doing as a contractor I was a middleman, right? I had the homeowner and I had my subcontractors that were actually doing all of the work. And I realized that's what wholesaling is. You got the motivated seller, you got the cash buyer. And I'm like, man, pushing paper is way easier than, replacing roof and, sheetrock and all this other stuff. So I really fell in love with the numbers aspect of it, analyzing deals, and eventually spent $65,000 on education to get started. And basically what I learned is go make offers on properties on the MLS. And when you want to dispo them, you put them on Craigslist. That's what I got for $65,000. So it taught us enough to be dangerous. And we didn't look back. The first year we did about 750,000 in assignments. And then moving forward, we've kind of been on a skyrocket.
Yeah. Quick shout out to Pat Hilton real quick. He says, RJ Bates III is the greatest cold caller closer in the history of mankind. His greatness will transcend generations and inspire weak men and women to become strong champions in life. People that don't like this man hate America, freedom, and the pursuit of happiness.
What a cosign. Jeez, Pat, yeah. That's cool. But yeah, that's it.
For those of you that don't know, Pat Hilton is the guy that makes all of my TikToks and reels. So
yeah,
I did actually. I could say I paid him to say.
You actually did pay him to say that.
That's
yeah. You got some other people showing some love. All right, Absolute Savage, OG. This guy's been following you since the Closers Olympics. Man's the truth. Thanks for all the support, guys. Yeah, man. So that's pretty wild. I think you were just looking for the opportunity for yourself at that time. And like any good entrepreneur, you listened, you heard something, you're like, let me go look at that. What's that all about? And found something that stuck. So that's pretty cool.
And it hasn't really changed since we got into real estate, right? I mean, we learned about wholesaling, but it was the same when we decided, hey, how do you do sub-twos? How do you do seller finance? What's hard money? What's private money? All of these things, we just continuously ask questions, surround ourselves with people that are smarter than us, and then just copy what they're doing. I mean, that's the whole point. Why do we put content out there? It's not so we can say, hey, we're the smartest in the room. We're saying, hey, go copy what we're doing. It works.
That's right.
And we're giving it back. And that's what we've continuously done over the past 8 years at this point.
So what would you say to people who would maybe say to you, I'm curious your opinion on this, why still wholesaling? Why haven't you done something different? I get this question sometimes. Hey, why are you still doing wholesaling? Well, I got my opinion, but I'm curious on yours. Why still wholesaling? Why would you not maybe move on to the next thing?
Well, first and foremost, wholesaling has been the foundation of our company since we got started. And it's what we perfected. And we have attempted to do other things. I attempted as hard as I possibly could to bankrupt myself. I mean, 2018, 2019, I went into Cookie Monster mode. I bought every piece of property I could possibly get my hands on without having the SOPs in place, without having any sort of system in place for the amount of inventory that we had. We tried to be both a flipper and a landlord, which are two drastically different types of businesses. And we were trying to do it simultaneous while wholesaling. So for me, we had a solid couple of years that laid the foundation. We went into the dark ages where we tried to become something that we weren't. And since 2020, we've essentially rebuilt ourselves as, hey, our hedgehog concept. That's what this hedgehog is back here for. That was a gift given to me by Eric Brewer because I talk about it, preach about it so much. You have to have a hedgehog concept, and ours is we are a nationwide virtual wholesaler. We don't do any belly-to-belly appointments. Everything is virtual over the phone, and it's all about wholesaling. Anything we do outside of that is a completely separate business. But what happens here at Titanium Investments is nationwide virtual wholesaling.
So how did you do 750,000?
Bro, how are you going to steal my question, Dean? How are you going to steal my question? Let me ask my fucking question. Let me introduce myself and ask my question. I know I was 5 minutes late, but let me. Hi, RJ. My name's Strat Daddy. Big time fan, long time follower. But, bro, doing 750K in your first year is a big boy move.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a lot.
How did you do that?
Now looking back at it, I asked myself the same question because they were all off the MLS. Not one was direct to seller. And me and Cassie were working on our laptops at a Barnes & Noble. That was our office. So I didn't close deals. So the first couple of years, like this whole thing about closers, Olympics, and me talking to sellers and all that, it was all about dispositions. It was all about me talking to cash buyers because our acquisitions was just pumping offers to all of the listings that said as is, distressed, estate sale, all of those. And it was just a numbers game for us. I think it took me 3 months before I said there's not enough inventory in DFW for us to satiate my thirst here. And I went down to Austin. I went down to San Antonio. We went to Houston. And then I realized, well, we're pretty much doing everything virtual anyways. Let's start doing deals in Phoenix and Portland and Baltimore, because what I realized was, hey, the higher the price, the more of a spread that I can get on my wholesale fee. So those first couple of years, man, we weren't dispoing, $25,000 shit boxes. I mean, we were dispoing $400,000 flip. That's what we were doing. So it was easy to carve out a $20,000 to $50,000 assignment fee. That's what really elevated that total gross revenue that first year.
Dude, I want to jump in really quick. It is. And I'm curious because I heard you say a couple of things, RJ. And I think for now, the people that follow you, they know you as the closer, right? 2 times closer Olympic champion. You've developed these sales chops, right? But it was interesting for me to hear you say you weren't utilizing those. It was basically at the beginning doing all MLS deals, right? So where did those sales chops come from, man? Did that just come from a lot of reps, or naturally are you just, are you naturally that guy? Or talk to us a little bit more about that, because I'm really curious about that.
Ignorance is bliss, man.
Yeah.
Like I'll never forget, me and Cassie, we went to, it was called the Propelio event here in Dallas Fort Worth, and there would be like 1,000 people. So we went to the first one, 1,000 people. Pat's in the lobby playing a guitar, going around.
Was he there?
Oh yeah, I mean, dude, everyone in Dallas Fort Worth was there, and we leave, and they had an open bar, by the way. So when we're leaving, I'm feeling pretty good, and I'm like, "Hey, Cassie, that was a really fun event, but did you notice that we're the only people doing deals on the MLS? Everyone's talking about this direct to seller. I think maybe we're doing things the wrong way." And so then we started looking at it, and then it was like, okay, direct mail. That was the thing back then in 2017. You had to do direct mail. So we do direct mail. Sellers call me. I mean, if you've ever done direct mail, you will know it's pretty brutal. Why would you think I need to sell my house? How did you get my address? Blah, 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 all this craziness. So it kind of immediately put me on the defense a little bit. And then I just realized, hey, I'm just going to shoot these people straight. I pulled a list of pre-foreclosures. Are you in foreclosure? Yep. Okay. Boom. Close the deal. And I didn't know any better. I haven't had any sales training, right? I didn't know about Sandler. I didn't know about any of these mental games that you're supposed to play. So it was just dude, you just shoot them straight and it works. We were getting deals. We started making money. And obviously, I almost killed myself. We were buying too many deals. I remember we did a direct mail campaign in Hawaii because that was one of our main markets that we were flipping in. we had a 5% response rate to our direct mail campaign because no one did direct mail in Hawaii. And it was like us and Indar, which I think y'all just interviewed.
Indar was just on, We
were like the two people doing any sort of direct-to-seller marketing out there. So you could pretty much get whatever else you wanted. And it was just like the influx of calls was so much. It was just like, dude, we don't have time. Just shoot them straight. Do you want to sell or not? And if they did, then we got the deal. If they didn't, we hung up and we answered the next call.
There you go.
Your boy Eric Brewer says being honest is the best sales tactics.
What's up, EV?
I got to agree,
Eric
man.
Is an absolute savage.
Yeah. Eric is a savage for sure. And I think that's one of the things that I've noticed. I mentioned at the beginning, RJ, is what's unique about your strategy is it seems like you're having just a super real conversation with people when I listen in. It's not this psychology stuff. But again, what do you think about that makes it work? Is that your innate personality? Is that just how you are in general? So that's just what you brought to the table because you didn't know any better? Or
well, I'll say this. I mean, we talked about this before, and you know, I see this as episode 28. I think y'all have had more episodes than 28 prior to the name change. But podcast, right? Podcast helps with talking to sellers and talking to buyers because it naturally makes you better at conversating with human beings. And today is my 6-year anniversary of my podcast. So I started August 15th of 2017, right when we were starting, you know, our direct to seller marketing. And that naturally kind of loosened me up a little bit. And what I learned is that people really enjoy when you're yourself, you're raw, you're authentic, you have humor. It's not this real serious transaction. So, you know, people always want to go to how direct I am and that, but you will also see that I probably laugh with more sellers than anybody else. Like we're having a good time. I mean, Closers Olympics on Saturday. I mean, bro, I literally had the Viking mug back here where it's somewhere back there full of beer. And I'm talking to this guy about how we're going to go get drunk on Saturday night because I'm buying his house. He didn't know that there was 1,000 people watching me on a competition, you know, but I'm over here. I'm having a good time. He's having a good time, you know? So I think it's more about being yourself and bringing whatever personality you have into that conversation with sellers than it is about trying to replicate what I do. Because I think if you replicate what I do, you're going to fail because you're not being yourself.
And think about the experience for the seller, like on the other end, right? So many people are calling them, just going along with the script. It feels very transactional, and they get off the phone with RJ, and it sounds like they're talking with their best buddy. You know what I'm saying? So, of course, there's going to be that authentic connection. So for those of you guys that are watching and listening that are struggling with the sales component, I think that was a huge nugget that he dropped. You shouldn't be trying to be RJ or Dean or Jason or whatever on the phone. You need to figure out what that authentic voice is. And guess what? It's going to take thousands and thousands and thousands of reps on the phone before you even get comfortable enough like expressing that over the phone to somebody because you're so damn nervous making cold calls anyways, right?
Right.
And so it's a really, really good point. I like that. The authenticity is great.
Shout out to Michael McDonald. Mad respect for the crew. What's up, Mike?
RJ, have you been able to replicate yourself, bro?
Yes.
We were talking to Steve about this, and he was like, you're the hardest one to replicate because you have so much charisma. And I do think charisma is an inherent trait. I don't think you can really train charisma very well.
I would agree with that. But yes, we have been able to replicate me in my office. It is, I will say, I've had better luck of replicating my style with younger guys, right?
Yeah, for sure.
It's a lot easier. Obviously, I have a female partner, so it's a lot easier for us to try to replicate Cassie and our female employees that we've had or that we do have. But younger guys, like we've been hiring guys anywhere between the age of 19 to 24. That's kind of our demographic right now to bring in. A lot of times we're hiring directly off of them watching me on TikTok. And they're like, man, I can do that. That doesn't really seem like that's overly complicated. They hit me up in the DMs. It was like, let's get in here. Let's see what you can do. And the thing for them is they love the freedom that we give them. There is no script. There is a process. But there's not a piece of paper in front of them that says this is the script you need to follow. So naturally, as the reps get built up, just like when you're working out and you're building your muscles, that charisma gets better. You get more comfortable. You come out of your shell a little bit more with punching in a joke or the rapport building activities in a call. It just becomes more about the consistency of the reps and them improving over time. And, you know, I look at Justin Helms. He's been here since he was 19. He's 21 now. And I trust him with pretty much anything in my company. You know, it's like, hey, I'm too busy to do something. Here, Justin, you take care of it. I trust that he's going to handle it. And will he make a mistake? Sure. We live with that and we learn from it and then we move on. So another thing is accepting failure from your employees, realizing they're not going to be just like me. I screw up too, just not wanting to, you know, replace them because they make mistakes.
Yeah. So this question is, or this statement is exactly what I was hoping to dive into. You said something there that's big and maybe surprising to most. You said you don't have a script, right? So Andy said we need that process. I'm curious, if you don't have a script in front of you and if you're just winging it, what is that process then? I'm sure you're not just winging it. I'm sure you have a CRM. You're trying to get certain information. Generally speaking, we know the 4 pillars, you know, motivation, condition, timing, price. You need that kind of information. Tell me what your process looks like and how you make sure you're getting the right information to put yourself in the position to make an offer and get a deal.
So almost all of our leads are some form of inbound at this point in time, because even if it's a cold call lead, the VA has cold called it, vetted it out with the 4 pillars, entered it into the CRM, and then we're scheduling an appointment for the acquisitions manager to call them back. So we have the cold call, we have the YouTube leads, we have the PPC leads, and then, yes, we have another category for leads from TikTok and Instagram. It's crazy, but there are sellers that watch my Instagram and TikTok of me talking to sellers and say,
bro, that's
I want to sell you my house.
So good.
It's awesome, bro. Yeah.
How much lead flow is coming from TikTok, bro?
In the past 50 days, I sent out 13 contracts from TikTok and Instagram.
Damn.
What?
Good for you, dude. That's so cool.
So
to be in the position to send out 13 contracts.
And 11 of them got signed. 11 of the 13 signed.
Dude, you know what I love here? Let me just insert something really quick, dude. Like, that can't be hacked. And that's a cool thing. Like, texting came out a couple years ago. Everybody figures out how to text. It's got a runway and then it's gone. Like, all of this that you've built up, nobody, even us, dude, like that kind of have a fun. No, we can't just go on social right now and turn on the lead machine like that, dude. Right. So I think people that don't build their business out for the long haul and they're not thinking longevity, right? They will never plant these seeds and put the work that you have over the last 6 years of doing a podcast that are now like paying these results. They just look and be like, oh, it must be nice to be RJ, you know, just hop on the phone and do this thing. And they don't see all that work, dude. That's so
what's
cool.
Crazy about that is all of those come from 8-hour days of me talking to sellers buying their houses, and then it generates me buying more houses. So it's really fun. But let's get back to the process. So everything's inbound, right? So when we call the seller and we get the seller on the phone, it's, hey, this is RJ. Just wanted to check. You still want to sell 123 Main Street? Yep. What's your asking price? That's probably the number one thing that differentiates us from everybody is the second question after they say yes is, what's your price?
Yeah.
And here's the thing, because it's so different than everybody else, they always give us a price. They're always like 120,000. Sounds good. All right. This is where it's not a script. Okay. It's, you have to be the quarterback of this transaction. There's a plan, there's a play, but sometimes, you know, your center just falls on his ass and the middle linebacker's right in your face, right? Yeah. What are you going to do? So this is where we use open-ended questions. And we start off with, tell me a little bit about the property. What you got going on? Very open-ended. And what we discover is that we find out about motivation and pain with our third question, because whatever they talk about is going to be the most important thing to them. When they think about that property, they want to talk about money. They want to talk about the condition. They want to talk about the tenant. It's their pain. It's the reason why they want to sell it. So very quickly, we determine, are they super motivated? Why? What is their pain? And we continuously ask open-ended questions while we're analyzing the deal. So I've got 4 monitors set up in front of me. Really, you only need 3 because I'm always live. So I use 1 for my StreamYard for myself. The other 3 are actually for real estate. 1 is for our contracts. The other one is for email. And then the other one is for comping. And so soon as I'm on the phone with them, I'm taking that address, I'm pumping it into Privy, PropStream, Batch Leads. I use all 3, and I've already got their price. So now what I'm determining is this a good deal? If they told me 100,000 and I pop it in and I'm seeing everything is 200 to 250, I know I'm probably sending a contract out.
Yeah.
Right. So now they're telling me why they want to sell. Hey, I've got a non-paying tenant. He tore the place up. Okay. I'm figuring out what my next questions are going to be. Have you started the eviction process? What's torn up about it? What's the condition? Open-ended questions. I'm letting them tell me everything. They're doing all of the conversating at this point. I'm determining what my offer is going to be. When I am ready to give them a number, I am then going to close down the conversation, and I'm going to say, hey, what's the best price you can do for me if I cover all the closing costs and there's no realtor commissions? Normally, they're going to drop the price by 10 to 15, maybe even 20%. And then at that point in time, if it's a deal, I'm just sending a contract. This is why people are always like, oh, you're always just giving people what their asking price is. Yeah.
It's a good deal.
I am.
Yeah.
Because I don't make offers. I'm the buyer. They're selling me the property. It's amazing. That was a huge mental shift for me when I realized we are the buyer. I don't go into Walmart and tell them how much I'm going to pay for a tube of toothpaste. They tell me.
This is what it costs.
So I have to give them $3.99 to get it. Same thing here. What's the best price you could do for me? 120. All right. What's your email? We close it down. If we need to dive in a little bit more, you can ask more close-ended questions where it's like, what's the age of the roof? What's the HVAC? Especially if they won't open up on you. Start giving them simple things to answer. But once you have enough information, that's where you close, and you really don't have to close. And then just to keep them on the phone, that's where you can have a little bit of the rapport building activities. At that point, I call it reverse rapport, because we built so much credibility. And how do we build credibility? We let them talk.
Yeah.
They've done all of the talking at this point. They feel super proud of themselves. So at that point in time, you start asking some more questions about everything that they said. That's where the rapport gets built. Maybe some of the jokes, the humor. That whole point in time, I'm writing up the contract. And then normally, ideal scenario is, hey, check your email. That's my offer. Just sign right there. It's a 2-page contract, and it's over.
So the only thing we do different. Oh, you go, Strat.
Are you shutting them down if they don't give you a price? Yeah. Like at that first initial, you're just like, hey, like if you don't have a price, like we really can't work with you.
Yep. Pretty much. What I'll tell them is, you came to me, you said you wanted to sell your house, but you don't have a price. So even if I gave you an offer, how are you going to make a decision today? I have a great video on YouTube. It's called the Art of How to Shut Up. It's me talking to a seller in Jay, Oklahoma. I was feeling myself because I just locked up a contract the call before, and I was live, and then she answers. So I was already feeling pretty good. I was okay with kind of blowing it on the live. There was probably 200 people watching, and I probably wouldn't have been this aggressive if I hadn't just got a contract. But she says, no, we don't have a price. I said, okay, do you want to call me back when you have an asking price? And the husband yells from the background, he's like, 100,000. And I'm like, 100,000. All right, we got a number to start with. And then we ended up contracting it at 90. And that's what's the best price you can do for me? 10% price reduction, sent the contract, and they signed it right there.
I like that. That is different. I was going to say.
I just want to ask something really quick, man, because I heard you say the word confidence, right? And so I know a lot of people that are watching RJ are new. They don't realize how much of a sales component is involved in this real estate, especially the front end, right? They see all the cool stuff on TV and they don't realize they need to get in the trenches and do some of this dirty work. How do these people that are new to the phone, don't have sales chops, have never done this before, where does that confidence come from? Does it just come from you got to keep your head down from a year and bang out the phones? Or is there a way that they can get some of that out of them while they're trying to, put their first few deals together?
Well, if you really take the time to become an expert at analyzing deals, understanding how to come up with a true after repair value, understand what true repairs are going to cost, know how to understand the cash flow aspect. And how do you do that, right? You get a deal under contract and you try to sell it to Jason or Dean. You guys just said, you'll both have like a ton of rental properties, right? So if I present a rental property to Dean and Dean says, I can't buy it because of this, the way that you become super confident on the phone is everything that Dean just told you is what you should tell the next seller that you talk to, because you are the buyer. That is what Dean's going to tell you. That's who you're trying to sell your deal to. So be an expert. If you're going to be good at one thing, be good at learning things one time. Don't have to be told something 10 times to get it through your thick skull that it's not a good deal. And that's what happened to us in 2015 early on. Dude, there was deals that got sent out to buyers. The buyers are like, hey, are you new to this? How did they know I was new at it? Yeah. Because the deal wasn't good.
It's rough. Yeah.
But they wanted me to be good. Every cash buyer wants a wholesaler to be good. Because why? It's like the deal that I got in the Closers Olympics and day one, I sold to a new buyer in Lubbock. It's a now match made in heaven because I know how he performs. And instead of me having to go to Investor Lift and vet out 15, 20, 30 buyers, I now have one phone number that I call and he buys my deal. He wants to buy my deals. I want him to buy my deals. So now we know exactly what each other wants. I just communicate with the seller the same way he communicates with me. If you do that, you should have all the confidence in the world as long as you're talking to the right cash buyers.
Love it.
So good. You got some nuggets there. The nugget I was going to bring up is we do a similar sales process. Now we have a script that we generally follow. You have to go with the flow like you guys do too. Only difference is you lead with price. We try to end with price after we've gotten all the information out. We have all the context to front load that price question to them. But the golden nugget, the secret sauce that you said, and is the same for us, is you got to let the seller do the talking. That's the biggest nugget. If someone's listening to this, the biggest takeaway when it comes to closing deals and big deals is by letting the seller do all the talking. And you said it so well, is that it gives them the feeling like they did a good job.
Yep.
Right. Whenever you want someone to feel good about you, you have them talk about them. That's the secret my dad taught me. Like, if you want someone to like you, have them talk about themselves, because they're going to be like, wow, that was a really cool person, because they just talked about themselves. So same thing with the house. And I think that was awesome. And then, gosh, what was the other nugget? Oh, basically getting your confidence through someone else. That's an incredible nugget right there, because you're leaning on the credibility. You're leaning on the experience of someone else to tell you what the deal is. And you just go in with that experience and that insight. And now you're negotiating based on that. It's the easiest way to gain confidence. I love that nugget. That's so good.
And it's all based around deal analysis. Okay. If you understand how to comp a deal and underwrite it correctly, you should have no problem whatsoever communicating that with the seller and explaining why you are getting the number that you're getting to. I tell sellers all the time, we don't lowball you. I can do the math. No matter what, if this is a flip, you're telling me your property's distressed, so you know you're selling it to a rehabber, you know it's going to get flipped. At these numbers, we're walking away with about 10 to 15% profit.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
And they can't argue with it at that point. It's either just, okay, I'm not going to sell to you because I'm hoping someone's, dumb is going to come along and offer me more money, or they're going to say, yep, makes complete sense. Where do I sign?
Yeah. That comes back to just shooting us straight, man. And that's, I think, one thing when I was, pounding the phones, closing deals, just shooting it straight. These are the numbers, right? There's not really much discussion. The only thing left for discussion is if you think it's okay for me to make this amount of money or not, because the next guy is going to be thinking the exact same thing. So unless you want to do the work yourself and you have the money to do that and the time to do that, then this is what the numbers are. And so it either works or doesn't.
Exactly.
Are you doing any commercial stuff, RJ?
So outside of the fact that we bought a golf course,
hell yeah, hell yeah.
No, I mean we every
now
now
and then, golf course, bro.
Every now and then
about the underwriting on that golf course.
Yeah, what was the underwriting?
Yeah, so the golf course was a very creative deal. Seller finance, no money down. Actually, we got paid to buy it. So that's very creative deal, and it's still in the works, and it's going to be a very long-term project. But outside that, I mean, we'll do commercial vacant land deals. But listen, man, again, the hedgehog concept, we're super laser focused on what we're doing because
what you're good.
I mean, I went to Tim Brott's multifamily training. Yeah. I came back. I went to his first ever multifamily training, came back. I thought we were going to do all this self-storage and multifamily. And then it was like 3 months later, I'm like, what happened to all the revenue? I tried to become something else, like let's get focused and get back in the trenches. So for right now, it's just about being disciplined and sticking to what we're good at.
How did you guys switch gears? Yeah, it's a longer pace. I feel, and I like integrating some of that because we have larger projects that have longer runways and bigger payouts. But you said it, dude. If revenue's not coming in, and we're not doing some of these shorter term deals, flips and wholesales that pay the bills, then you're not going to be there when that larger payday pays off, man. The question I was going to ask RJ was, I feel like, more recently, especially with COVID, our company made this pivot too. We moved to a virtual model because we were forced to. Nobody was letting anybody in their house. We embraced that. We saw that it opened us up to a wider market. It seemed like you jumped into that earlier on, embraced that earlier on, right? So talk about like, where did that evolution come from? And now like from that to all 50 states, man, that's a pretty big jump.
Yeah. So selling deals to Open Door was one of the best things that I've ever done. Buying flips, not doing anything, selling them to Open Door, watching their process and saying, all right, there's things that they do that I really love. And we basically just took that model and implemented it into our business and really 10x'd it when COVID hit. I mean, that was the greatest excuse of all time to never go see a house. Yeah, again, because we didn't have the confidence because we were still doing like the local belly to belly appointment.
Yeah.
Because it was like, well, it's a 5-minute drive. I mean, it get me in the living room. I'm getting ink, right?
Yeah.
But then everybody feels that way. But it's a 5-minute drive there. It's a 5-minute back. I could have gotten a deal during that drive time now. So what I determined is, hey, let's just get really good on the phones. And that is going to be, again, laser focused. That is our model. No matter what, we don't go see homes because you're not going to Open Door will not go see your home until you've signed a contract. That was their model, right? They said, tell us about your house. Based off that information, we can give you $150,000. Then they go do their inspection and they come back and say, hey, house wasn't what we thought it was. Now your offer is $130,000. We're ready to close. That is what we do. And it's beautiful because I literally tell sellers that. So my dispo guys love it because now they know even if we go try to pump out a deal and all of our buyers come back at less than what we have it under contract for whatever reason, because it is sight unseen.
The seller's still prepared.
Yeah.
The seller is prepared for the dispo guys to call and say, hey, based off of our inspection results, this is where we need to be. Would you like to sign that, or would you like for us to terminate? What would you like to do? So we just adopted exactly what Open Door did.
What's your fallout rate on that?
Right now, in the past 50 days, we are at 70% close. So 30%
fallout. That's good.
That's fucking wild for nationwide.
Really good.
Yeah. Nationwide, that's crazy.
I am super proud of my team right now. So I'll give you an update. So I just finished, 50 deals, 50 states in 50 days, right?
Again,
all live on YouTube.
You did it last year.
I did it in 2020, and then I sold
you a deal in Indiana.
Yeah.
In your 50 deals in 50 states.
I remember that. I just did it again. And in those 50 days, I sent out 166 contracts. 122 were signed. We have 33 terminations. And right now we have $750,000 in assignments with another 28 properties to sell. So in those 50 days, we should be somewhere around 1.1, 1.2 million.
Wow.
That's crazy. That's so dope.
And that's with my team right now. We have a TC, we have a bookkeeper, and then we have essentially one recon / dispo helper, and then 3 dispo guys, and then me and Cassie. And then we have 8 VAs.
So you do all the closing? You don't have
a every single one of those contracts was me. So Cassie did a couple when I was peeing, but majority of them were me. And then JV deals. So out of that, we had 17 JV deals from people watching the lives and stuff like that. But that was 9 of our 33 terminations were JV deals. So 9 of our 17 JV deals were terminated.
Another compliment for you.
Yeah.
Your numbers are dialed, dude. Like just listening to you, and it's very impressive because I think a lot of people take for granted, like RJ just being able to rattle off these percentages and this and this and this and this. Like the fact that this man has his numbers like absolutely dialed and can just spit it off like that is a big reason why they're able to operate all 50 states and do this, because he understands his business, guys. So KPIs are important.
Extremely important. Shout out to one of my followers on YouTube. He made me the spreadsheet for my KPIs. He actually was like, dude, I know what you're doing. He's like, I've worked in corporate my whole life. I'm a spreadsheet master. He didn't even ask. He just sent it to us. And then we made a couple of tweaks. And I love it, man. I use it every day now just to look at it and see where we are. And crazy enough, all 50 states, right? 122 contracts, 17 of them were in Texas. As much as we say we're virtual, the #1 state by far was our home state, Texas. I thought that was pretty funny considering the marketing was just all 50 states. It wasn't like we said, hey, let's specifically do Texas, but it still ended up being our #1 location.
Wow.
Dean, ask your question, because that's what I was going to ask. It's like, what type of lead flow is this?
Let me pop off a couple of these questions from the listeners, and then I'll come back to my question. So question for you from Seth. When you say you sold deals to Open Door, did you close on those deals, buy them, then sell them, or did Open Door buy the contract from you via assignment?
Yeah, you have to close. You have to own it. You cannot assign to Open Door. So those are deals that I've closed on. Some of them were like rentals that became vacant, and instead of rehabbing them, it was just like, hey, let's pump them off to Open Door and see what we get. We had a very large rental portfolio at one point in time. We basically have liquidated all of that because of the appreciation that we got here in Texas. I mean, some houses appreciated by like 200%. So we just liquidated those off to kind of rebuild once things come back down.
Here's another good question that segues into my question, which is how much marketing spend did you have in those 50 days?
So cold calling wise, which was one of our worst marketing efforts, by the way, and I'm highly upset about that. I wanted better results. We only got 15 signed contracts on cold calling. We were spending roughly $1,500 to $1,700 a week on that. So what is that?
That's still crazy good numbers on cold calling, though.
Yeah.
I was very disappointed because I sent out 28 contracts and I only got 15 signed. So I looked at that as like, dude, that was pathetic. Like 50% of them didn't even sign.
Yeah,
like,
the dropout. Yeah.
They could have been so much better. So roughly 1,500, 1,700 a week in cold calling. Speed to lead that's PPC. So we cherry pick them from the speed to lead marketing or marketplace. I kind of hacked that a little bit. $99 a month. You're part of the coupon club. Every weekend, they run a coupon somewhere in the range of $1 to $9 a lead because no one buys leads on the weekend. So the leads have to be 72 hours or older, which I don't care about because people suck at closing.
Yeah.
So I was going in and I was buying, let's say 35 to 40 every weekend. So let's call it $10. So $400 a week on speed to lead. Okay.
That's how much one lead is in DFW though on speed
exactly.
to lead.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What the hell?
There's the hack.
What?
Join the coupon club. Right.
Oh. So, I'm joining literally as soon as we get off this call.
Now here's the thing. I don't know how you join the coupon club. Apparently you have to like buy
I'm calling Gene. And then
tonight. He invites you to be a part of it. Because I was telling everybody in my lives, and they're like, "Where's this coupon club?" And I'm like, "Shit, I don't know. It's somewhere." You have to buy leads, and then eventually they'll let you be a part of the coupon club. So that was 17 of the 166 contracts. The biggest expense was Lead Zolo. Okay, so those are our YouTube ads. They're $100 a piece. Okay, so let me say this again. Not trying to be an affiliate whore right now, but $100 through my link. I think it's 150 through everywhere else because I said, hey, I'm going to show your leads to the masses. And boy, did they over deliver because that was 80, half of the contracts, 87 of them came from Lead Zolo. So what we found out was we would get like 70 over the weekend. And then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, it would significantly slow down. So, Dean, I know you were asking me about the deal flow from YouTube, right?
Yeah.
We would get like 10. So we were averaging like 110 leads a week, okay? And they're $100 a piece. So what is that math? Whatever that is.
We're all looking at each other, hoping we can do math. We know it's got is it 10,000 bucks?
10,000 some change, yeah.
So that's what we were spending a week on Lead Zolo.
So 45-ish a month sounds like then, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So 45, then another what? 5.
So call it 90 for 750 with another 28.
It's a great fucking ROI. Right.
Now that's just on the marketing side of things, not the commissions and not the overhead or anything else. But, and again, those are not common numbers. Like I closed 1 out of every 7 Lead Zolo leads at the last time I calculated that was like on day 30. So there was 20 more days of me going live. It might have gotten worse. But at one point in time, it was 1 out of every 7 lead was a contract. I would think it should be more like 1 out of every 10 for like most people because you're going to get a deal in a location where you're like, hey,
that's nonsense.
I'm probably not going to take this on. We take that on.
Yeah.
Like we sold a deal today for a $2,500 assignment. Most people would view that and say, hey, we're just not going to do that. You know, we want to have a minimum of 10K rip, 5K at the bare minimum. You know, we're like, that's okay. We'll take that one because the next one's going to be the 70K rip.
So when it comes to those leads coming in, you're taking all those calls, right? And what's that process like? Is that just all day long? And are they you said they're nationwide, right?
Yeah, so they're a lot of leads.
You don't know where it's coming from. Boom, popped up in Alabama. Boom, it's in Tennessee. And boom, it's in Florida, California. And then you're just calling them up and giving them a call just straight as soon as they fill out the form or whatever.
Yep. Hey, this is RJ Bates. Just saw you fill out a form on my website saying you want to sell 123 Main Street. You still looking to sell? Cool. What's your asking price?
Literally just like that verbatim. I love it.
Dude. Oh, God. I love that so much. I
love it, dude.
Well, can you tell me about property? What you got going on? Yeah. They're like, what do you mean? What do I got going on? I don't know. You came to me, dude. I don't know anything about
what you got going on.
Yeah.
Like, is it occupied, vacant, tear down? Is it good? What you got going on? Like, sell me your house. I'll tell them, sell me your house. Yeah. And the next thing you know, 5 minutes later, they're done talking, and you've already got the ARV and everything.
What's your asking price?
Listen, it's so this is my new thing when I post stuff. Like, Pat will send me a reel, and I'm like, damn, that's like 43 seconds, and like nothing happens. Like, people are gonna think this is fake. Like, I literally asked them, and I'm like, what's your email? And I sent it, and I'm like, cool, we'll talk to you tomorrow. So now it's like, it's so simple, no one else can replicate it. Because I've literally told people, like our students, I'm like, all right, you're going to ask them, what is their asking price? As second question. And then they'll get on the phone, and they're like, hey, so I saw that you entered this on my website. How's your day going? Don't ask them about their day. What are you doing? You're getting them comfortable. Fuck. And then they say, what's your asking price? And they're like, I don't know. Your website said you'd make me an offer. And I'm like, yeah, because you asked them how their day was, and they got super comfortable with you. You went into the friend zone. You're not a friend. You're a buyer.
So you're just catching them, like, out the gate. Hey, bam.
Just clocking them.
I see it. It's
good.
I see it too. Here's a question, which is, will there be a time when you stop cold calling? I know that's not the only thing you're doing, but I guess maybe the question positioned differently. Will there be a time when you stop closing and you allocate your time somewhere else in the business?
Yeah, let's be clear. I only do acquisitions when this camera's on. And the only time I've really solely done acquisitions has been during both 50-day challenges. Like, we've had much larger teams than what we have right now, where everyone on the floor was doing acquisitions, and I wasn't doing any of that. I was the CEO. I was operating the business from a much higher level. And then it was, hey, YouTube is hungry. You know, turn on the camera, turn on the lights. I'm going to call a lead, and I close it, and I post it on YouTube. That being said, moving forward into the future of what Titanium looks like, I'm really enjoying what I'm doing right now. Like, I really like it. I really like our team structure. I like the energy, the atmosphere around here, and I don't think I want to change it. So I think we're going to do another 50-day challenge, see what we can do from it, and just keep it going, because it opens up opportunities for us to do other things. My team loves when I do it, because they get a ton of deals, and then they turn around and they start selling deals. One of my guys was talking about you, Jason, when I told him I was going live. They're still out there. I was telling him, I'm like, hey, I'm about to go do a podcast with Dean and Jason Pritchard. And he was like, yeah, I know, Jason. I tried to sell him a deal. And it's like, they love the fact that when they call buyers and they're like, yeah, I'm with Titanium Investments. You might have heard of RJ Bates. And they're like, oh, yeah. It makes them, like, it's easier for them to do their job.
Hell yeah.
So the more that I do this and the more outreach we get, it makes their job easier to also dispo.
Yeah, that's true. I want to come back real quick, just a curiosity question. When you're doing the YouTube ads, what is it? Is it you showing the video of you closing a seller live, or is it some like We Buy Houses typical no closing cost type of ad? Or
Zolo is running the ads. I know that there's videos. I know that there's a man, because when I'm on the phone with seller, they're like, yeah, I watched your video and you just seem so nice. And I'm like, it's definitely not me. Like, I'm not on the video. Like, I've never seen the video, but unless somehow Lead Zolo did some AI thing with my mouth and made me say something else, it's not me on the video. So I just know that it's very similar to Speed to Lead. They have like 10 or 11 different brands, where it's basically like, hey, are you looking to sell your house fast? If you are, click here. And they're pumping them to their website. They fill out the form, and 13 seconds after they fill out the form, that's when you receive that lead. So you pre-purchase the leads. You say, hey, here's $1,000. I want 10 leads. And you can do nationwide, or you can say, hey, I just want 10 leads in Fresno, California. And then as those leads come in, they'll pump it right to you 13 seconds after they filled out the form. And just like every other inbound lead, the quicker you get them on the phone, the quicker you can close them.
That's cool.
Bro, talk about the complexity of having your company get so big and why you like it being like this. Because like having that big behemoth to move around is a lot mentally.
It was miserable, dude. I mean, I hated everything.
Talking about?
I mean, for me, I have zero patience for when things need to change in business. Like, I want to be able to open up my door and say, I just did a podcast with Robert Winsley, and he just told us that we need to do this on Investor Lift. And every guy goes, got it. And now I know moving forward, that's how we do it. When we had this huge operation, it was like emails had to be sent out, Zoom calls with everyone. People were raising their hands like, I don't understand. And I'm like, I don't understand why you're still here. Like, we need to fire this person. You know, it was miserable to be a part of the organization, and that defeats the purpose of being an entrepreneur. The reason why I wanted to do this, so I enjoy everything that I do. It's like, this is a choice for me to be here tonight. It's a choice for my guys to still be in the floor here at 8 p.m. because they've got a deal in Alaska that they need to sell. It's 5 p.m. in Alaska. So they're making the choice to be here, but they enjoy what they're doing. So, yeah, man, it's not what we wanted at that time. We didn't set it up correctly. I'm not saying we'll never get back to that point, but it's going to be organic, and it's going to be our choice, and we're going to make sure we set it up correctly.
So how big was your team, and how big is it now?
So we were 74 people, including contractors at one point in time. That was ridiculous. And like I said, I tried to
ridiculous, bro.
I mean, it was
that's
stupid.
A lot of moving parts.
What about that? So just to pause on that, what about you? You said you were the cookie monster. You were going and buying everything you could. What about you made you do that? Was it that you were just going for bigger and better, wanted to be the boss and everything that you could possibly try to do? Or was it someone else pushing you? What was it that got you to that point?
It was, as much as I hate to say this, it was going to masterminds. It was going where I walked in the room and that guy's like, I own 200 rental properties. I'm like, shit, man, we don't own any rental properties. And this guy's like, I'm flipping 100 houses a year. And I'm like, shit. And then I sit down at lunch and he's like, dude, I mean, that guy's a private money lender. All you got to do is just ask him for $1 million and he'll give you $1 million. And it's like, all right, hey, man, if I take down some of these deals, I mean, look, these are all the deals I've wholesaled. And then they're like, yeah, let's do it. And so it became one of those ego things. It became I wanted to be better than everybody else because I'm naturally competitive. It wasn't for all the right reasons. It honestly had nothing to do with money, which is hilarious.
The big dick. That's the big dick syndrome, bro. That's why you put the eggplant because like you get surrounded and then you get. I think the get you.
We lost Strat.
I think we lost Strat. I'll piggyback off what he said, dude. I think that's probably one of the most insightful things for me to hear because I know we've all gone through that because we all run kind of in the same circles. We go to the same events, and it's very easy to sit in that room where you're around a bunch of like very high level people and second guess like, shit, man, maybe I'm doing something wrong. When the version of you from 10 years ago was begging for you to be like where you're at right there and learning how to be happy in that space and learning, dude, I think it's awesome, man. Like I've made similar transitions, I think, in my business where we became something that it didn't want to be. And we had to take a step back to grow to where we are today, man. And so I think social media can be like a blessing and a curse, and especially with this, because it's very easy to compare and second guess these things that you're doing, man. So that's good. That's very, very
understand the problems. Like RJ's problems from 70 people, bro. That is problems that like it gets so much more complex, and it kind of kills the net profit on it too because you got such overhead.
There was no profit. It was all loss. Everything was a loss. Everything was a loser. I had spreadsheets where I can go back, and we had $22 million in private money loans out. I mean, it was insanity. And the thing about it is I would go to an event and say I meet Dean. I'm like, shit, this guy is a former NFL player and he owns $10 million rental portfolio. Like, okay, well, I can never go back and actually play in the NFL, so can't fix that. So that means I have to own a $20 million rental portfolio to be beating them today. You know, I mean, that was the broken mindset. Yeah. And part of the problem is tasting success that I had never had before in my life and not knowing how to handle it. I mean, that was the bottom line. I mean, when we got started in this, I mean, dude, we were dead broke. I mean, we were in debt. I mean, then we went $65,000 more in debt to learn how to do it. So there's a lot to be learned about it. That's why I've openly shared it for many years now, where it's like, hey guys, it's been a crazy ride, but there's still people that I owe money to, where it's like, hey, it's coming. I'm working on it. This is how you're getting your money back, because it's a constant struggle to climb out of that hole that I put us in. There is no one else. That's why everyone that comes to our event gets a copy of Extreme Ownership, because that's the book that really changed it. I mean, when I read the chapter, there's no bad leaders, no bad teams, just bad leaders. I realized that was me solely. And I had to change it, or I was going to be working for one of you guys as an acquisitions manager, reading y'all's damn scripts and being
hired.
Yeah. He beat me to it. I know, that's right.
You're hired. Done.
I knew one of us was going to say it. I think that's incredibly insightful, and appreciate you sharing that, because
me too.
I think that's the reality. So there's so much to unpack there. Not only just the perspective of you bit off more than you could chew because you were influenced by others and you were thinking you needed to become that person. We're all guilty of it, especially the people who are striving for more and trying to have growth. Like, I just had it today. I just met with a guy down in La Jolla who was an absolute baller. And I was like, holy crap, I need to be like that guy. It came out of my mouth. And, we were talking about what we were both doing, and he was flipping some of these multi-million dollar houses right on the water, my favorite beach. And we were just trading stories. And you got to catch yourself. And I think you had this clarity that you shared today that I think people need to listen to very closely is, you worked really hard to get good at this thing. Don't try to be an expert of something else, right? Each and every one of us, Stratton, Jason, myself, we have had the shiny object syndrome too, and have lost money and wasted time, opportunity costs as well as a result. And being able to listen to this podcast right now and hear that type of wisdom is so important for the person who's just getting started. So important for the person who's in that season right now, who's looking around, striving to be like someone else. You just need to get better yourself each and every day, and you'll create the life that you want. And you got to find happiness through that journey.
Absolutely. And listen, I tell all of our students that when they come, the first thing that we talk about is I want you to write down what your headshot concept is. And I want you to make a commitment that you are not going to do anything else until you have mastered that, and you can step away from that business without it slowing down. And the facts are, there's only so many Carlos Reyes's in the world, right? We all I remember having lunch with Carlos Reyes in 2016. He came here and he asked me how to virtually wholesale. Now, this dude, he doesn't even know what's going on in his wholesaling operation. He's running like 300 companies. I'm joking. It's like 20 something, but he's out there doing whatever he wants to do with his life. some of us are never going to achieve that in our business. What we need to be happy with is running a great multi-7-figure operation that we're focused on. And I think some people need to come to grips with, hey, that's what Carlos did first.
Yeah.
He focused on that one organization and made it great. And then everything else built off of it. Everyone else wants to live off of social media and say, hey, I just want to start with 20 companies. And it doesn't work that way.
No, because you don't understand the problems that come along with dealing with 20 companies. And if you didn't go from 1 to 2 to 3 and slowly every time you leveled up, figured out how to solve bigger, more complex problems, what do you think is going to happen if you just jumped right to that level? It just doesn't work. And you have burnout or you just fall flat on your face, man. So yeah, definitely good stuff, brother.
So we got some people in the comments here, some questions. So one question for you: are the speed to lead leads exclusive to you when sent to you, or are those leads sent to a bucket of other investors, wholesalers?
So speed to lead can be exclusive. When you purchase, you can choose to be exclusive to you. You have to pay more. Exclusive for 48 hours, exclusive for 1 hour, or not exclusive. The ones that I was talking about, the 72 hours old, coupon club, those are non-exclusive. They're going to sell them to as many people as possible. Okay. Lead solo, those are exclusive to you. Okay. Now I've had some people be upset because they bought a lead solo lead and then they know somebody else got a lead from the same address. Here's the thing. Lead solo cannot make sure that person doesn't go watch another YouTube video and click on another one of their brands and it gets sent to somebody else. They can't stop them from Google PPC. Listen, I closed a deal on Lead Zolo and then the next day bought a lead in the same city and from Speed to Lead, and it was the same seller. Okay. So that was them. Google, Speed to Lead got it. Then they went on YouTube, Lead Zolo got it, and I paid for both of the leads and I bought the house and I sold it. It sucked because I wasted money on Speed to Lead that I probably shouldn't have. But you can't – nothing is exclusive when it comes to leads. And if you're worried about that, that means you're worried about your closing skills. I'm never worried about if a lead's exclusive or not. So start with internally what you can control. And if you're spending $9 on a lead, don't ever expect it to be exclusive. That's what I'll say.
All right, we had another question. Where do we get your book?
Man, I wish I had one to give you. I mean, I've never actually written a book. The book I was talking about is Extreme Ownership. It's written by Jocko Willink. Great book. Check it out. I think it's like one of the most top sold books of all time. So, yeah. But I've never actually written a book.
Another person said, totally guilty of the, looking at other people thing, trying to stay in my own lane now, focus on my own race, not compare and just enjoy, learn from the process. I think that was such a good nugget for everybody.
There was one more that I wanted RJ to see. RJ is a cleaner. I feel like that's a great compliment.
Funny that Michael says that. First of all, I've done deals with Michael. He's a great wholesaler. Great guy.
Yep.
During my 50-day challenge, actually, someone answered the phone and said, I got an offer from Rocket Home Buyers. And I said, oh, well, then you should just go with them. Like, they're great. Just go with them. And when I hung up the phone, that's Michael's company. But Cleaner, if you haven't read the book Relentless by Tim Grover, that's what that is in reference to. And that book was the inspiration behind my 50-day challenge. I didn't like where we were as a company. I read Relentless. I learned what a cleaner was, and essentially a cleaner is the guy in the fourth quarter that says, give me the damn ball. I'm going to go win the game. Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Dwayne Wade. And as Tim Grover was explaining what a cleaner was, like, I got chills and realized, like, this is who I am to a T. Like, I don't have a lot of close friends. I kind of isolate myself. It's all about what needs to happen for us to achieve our goals. Very similar to Kobe Bryant in that regard. It's why the masterminds was not a good fit for me, because I wanted to compete. I just wanted to go and I want to beat everyone. That's who I am. And I read Relentless, and I told Cassie, I said, we're going to do 50 deals in 50 states in 50 days, all live on YouTube and Facebook. And she said, well, we've never done a deal in Montana, Wyoming, South Dakota, North Dakota, and you're going to do this live? And I said, yep. And she said, why? And I said, because the world is going to be our accountability partner. We do this in front of the world, I will make sure I won't fail at it. That first year, I got 86 contracts in those 50 days. Second time around, 122. That is now I'm in competition with myself. Now I could care less about what anybody else is doing. Now I'm in competition with myself, improving, making sure that the team knows the KPIs just as much as me, because I talk about it all the time. The goal was 70% close ratio, because I know if you can say you did that, that means something to everyone in the industry. That's not, oh, you just went and got 122 contracts and you terminated 60 of them.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you hit above industry standard on closing deals while doing 122 deals in 50 days. And that was all inspired by that book, Relentless. So great shout out there, Michael.
I got a question for you about the Titanium brand. Do you own any other clothes other than Titanium?
Not very many, but there is going to be a new one coming out soon, a new shirt. Let's just say, we had the first Closers Olympics belt, and then we had the Wholesaling Live belt. Now I've got the 2023 Closers Olympics belt coming. And I am RJ Bates the third.
Uh-oh.
I got 3 belts. So I'm just saying, maybe that Roman numeral needs to be in some wrestling belts there. But you ask about Titanium. That actually has a meaning behind it. So when we were trying to come up with something, Cassie was born on February 22nd. My number in sports was 22. And then when everything else was taken at the Secretary of State in Texas, we tried integrity and all these different ideas. We looked up the periodic table of elements, and we saw that titanium was the 22nd element.
Oh, dang.
And so it was titanium investments. Who would have ever thought that a freaking metal would become a part of my life? But Eric Brewer back here, he sent me that. It's 1 pound of titanium. I've got a little tiny piece.
That's dope.
This is
that's dope.
When you come to our event, every single person gets this little piece of titanium right there with the 22 on it. So yeah, man, it's just become who we are, and it's super cool to hear my team when they're calling people, and no disrespect to anybody else's businesses when they're offer or Mike buys houses or whatever like that, but it's super cool to hear our dispo team talk to buyers and say, yeah, this is Justin from Titanium. Yeah, RJ Bates. Yeah, Titanium Investments. It's now become something.
It's a brand.
And it's taken a long time to get there, 8 years, but it's really cool to see it now.
That's dope. Well, dude, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on, man. I want to be respectful of your time. I feel like we could keep you on here for another hour.
Yeah,
dude,
yeah.
There's so much goodness. Appreciate having you on, man.
Last question.
Well, oh yeah. Let's answer that
about
one.
because this is.
What are your thoughts on cold calling?
What can you do to improve it? Their only marketing, right? Cold calling. So I want to take the chance to answer as best as I possibly can, because obviously I'm going to try.
I get asked a lot about it too.
Well, couple of different things. During the closing process, okay, I was successful enough to send out 28 contracts in 50 days from cold calling. So those are pretty good results. I would have been pleased with that if we had gotten a normal 70% of those signed, but 50%, that's where the drop-off is. So a couple of different things. One, when I'm talking to those sellers, I need to understand that there is a difference between them and a lead Zolo or speed to lead or a TikTok lead because they're cold. right?
Yeah.
So I do need to slow down. I need to do more open-ended questions to warm them up a little bit, to make them more comfortable with who we are as a company, right? Because they didn't come to us, we went to them. And then also, I need to make sure I fully understand their motivation to sell and that they are ready to sell. Just because someone says they will sell doesn't mean that they're ready to sell. And I think that's a drastic difference. I think on a couple of those, I made the assumption because I said, will you sell? That meant that they were ready to sell in the next 30 days. Need to understand more fully what is the timeline in which they want to sell, solve that problem. I probably didn't do a good enough job of solving their problems during those calls and just kind of tried to close it like I would any other lead source. So I think for someone, whoever asked this, declaration home buyers, slow down. Whatever your average time frame is on a call with a seller, maybe tack on 2 to 3 extra minutes there for you to just take that extra step, that 1 or 2 extra questions so you fully understand their scenario. And again, we're very fluid around here. So it needs to be whatever that question is, it's based off of the answers that they're giving you. Everything is based off of their motivation, their pain point. Dig deeper, because whatever they're telling you is probably not the true answer. The true answer is the next question that you ask. That's where you'll understand. I was lacking 1 or 2 questions on those 13 contracts I didn't get. That's what I've identified.
Yeah, that's really good information right there.
And you know what was cool right now, even listening to you go through that self-reflection process at the stage that you're at, right? Like the amount of deals that you closed, you're still self-aware enough to go back and reflect and say, this is where I had these little gaps that need to get plugged. And I know we struggle with that with new acquisitions people or new coaching students. They don't even take the time to really try to sharpen their skill set to the point. So if you guys are watching, look at a guy like RJ, right? Who has the track record that he does as closing. Even now, live on the spot, he's sitting there poking holes in his sales process and identifying areas to improve, because we can always get better, man. So that was
really Jason, here's the thing about that, man. And this is so vitally important for everyone to understand. That was 13 opportunities that someone said yes.
Yep.
That impacts every single one of the guys on the floor, their paychecks. Yep. It impacts my family. It impacts the decisions that we make moving forward on what we're going to do marketing expense-wise, operations. Every single move that we make has a counterbalance and a reaction to that. And so when I look at it, I'm going, dude, how in the world did we called 13 people and then I got on the phone with them and they said, yes, I want to sell you my house, and I didn't get it signed. Well, I understand there's going to be circumstances where that doesn't happen, but it is just when you take it to that degree of like seriousness and you really start thinking about the impact that it makes not only on our bank account, but the guys that work for us. That's how you end up keeping people for years in comparison to a couple of months.
Hell yeah, dude.
RJ, elaborate too for them that you're more than likely still following up with all of those contracts that didn't convert, and you're still going to close majority of them, like over time.
Absolutely. Funny enough, you say that. One of the cold call leads that didn't close, I've been following up with them since 2020. I just now got him to say yes in 2023, but now he won't answer the phone. He didn't sign the contract. So, yeah, buddy, the follow-up is going to keep coming. I literally have a TikTok where I said it on there like, yeah, I've been following up with you since 2020. Can you just sign the damn contract? His asking price hasn't changed. I'm like, man, sign the damn thing. But, yeah, man, the follow-up, you have to do that. And again, I think that's something that I can't show in the Closers Olympics, right? But another reason why there's so many contracts that got signed here is because I'm pretty relentless on the follow-up. Like, I'm not going to give up on that. We're going to make sure that every lead is touched on a daily basis, and it's either a yes or a no, and keep it simple in the buckets. There is no such thing as a warm lead. It's either a lead or it's not, and follow up relentlessly.
Got another question that just popped in here. What was the main reason you don't do MLS deals anymore with agents? Is it and or sign issues or because disclosure?
It's kind of like when what's a good analogy here? It's kind of like when you eat like the most amazing steak of all time. You don't desire to go, eat Burger King anymore. That's kind of my thing is like, direct to agent MLS deals. There is kind of a cap on what you can make there. You're not really in control of your own destiny. You're kind of blindly sending out offers and hoping that they accept. Lots of EMD has to be put down. Short inspection periods or option periods here in Texas. Yeah. So, there's a lot of people that can mess the deal up. I like to be in control. I'm a cleaner. So the closer I can get to the damn ball, let me get there. And so once we found direct to seller, it was just kind of like, oh, man. And listen, I just did a live with Jerry Norton the other day. He was doing direct to agent. I was doing direct to seller. I think what we saw was I talked to 2 sellers. I sent out 2 contracts. He talked to 3 agents, and he has a potential to have a relationship with an agent that can send him a lot of deals in the future. But I got 2 deals that day that I can make money right now. He might be able to make a lot more money from that call moving forward in the long term. But in the meantime, I'm calling more sellers. And I like that. That fits my personality better. So, and inherently fits my team's personality better as well.
More in control.
Yep.
I agree. David says, why work harder, avoid the MLS? David, you got to accept my friend request too. I think it's been there for a while.
Let me tell you something about David Dodge, okay? Let me tell you a story. David Dodge and I played pickleball at 1 a.m. in Phoenix one night, and we utterly got our asses kicked by Jesse Burrell and Gavin was there. I don't know Gavin's last name. I don't know Gavin that well. But David Dodge is the worst pickleball player of all time. He single-handedly was the reason why I got my ass kicked repeatedly that night. And so, David,
was this in shape, Jesse?
On this chat.
Was this in shape, Jesse? Or old Jesse?
It was in. And Jesse is a beast. It was in his backyard. I mean, he has a pickleball
home court
in his backyard.
Home court advantage.
Yeah. I hope David responds to that.
Yeah, I hope so too. Well, while he's typing something flattering and loving back, dude, it's been so fun to have you on. I know most of us here have known you online, kind of from a distance, but getting to dive in more, get to know you more, has been super fun. I know we're going to connect here in a month at a mastermind of all things, but not your normal mastermind. Where we're, trying to flex on how many deals we're doing. It's a little bit different. So be good to connect there, do some content and stuff. But dude, been an absolute pleasure. So much good insight. Guys, if you're listening to this, make sure you follow RJ Bates III on Instagram. Check him out on YouTube. I mean, just dropping gems all the time. I love coming across your stuff on my feed and just seeing what you're saying to sellers, dude, because you're just closing deals, man. And you're just saying stuff that's the champ, man. You're just dropping gems, and I know it's super valuable to the real estate investment community. So we appreciate everything you do.
Thank you. I love what I do. I'm not gonna lie, it's a lot of hard work. I wish I was just ridiculously good looking with pink hair like Ryan Pineda, and it could just blow up on YouTube. But instead, it's the grind over here of closing deals and going live. And but I love what I do, and I love hearing the feedback from people that say, hey, man, I took one of your lines from Instagram, and I immediately closed the deal for $20,000 less than what I was going to get it for. And the lives that we've been able to impact, my boy Jamie LeBlanc there, wearing his Create Your Own Reality. That's our saying, create your own reality. Shirt right there. That's my guy. Just love being able to impact people like that. And listen, real estate changed our lives. And the whole reason why I started the podcast 6 years ago and the YouTube channel and all of that is so other people's lives could be changed. which, by the way, tomorrow morning, 8 a.m., I'm releasing my 6-year anniversary podcast, The Titanium Vault. Check that out. I basically chopped up and took the 13 most crazy interview segments, put them on there. Dude, looking back, y'all are gonna feel this way one day. You're gonna look back at your podcast and be like, I can't believe we interviewed some of these people. I'm just gonna give you a list of people I interviewed before I started doing video. Okay, Ryan Pineda, Max Maxwell, and Cody Sanchez. Do y'all know who Cody Sanchez is?
Yeah, he's been blown up recently too.
Bro,
yeah, Cody's a savage.
Yeah.
My interviews with them are a static image of their face. I'm like, why didn't I buy a webcam? I basically had like some of the biggest influencers on the podcast before they blew up. And you guys are going to do the same thing one day. You're going to look back and be like, I can't believe we had these guests on. But 6 years today, interview goes out, or episode goes out tomorrow. So check that out.
Love it.
Heck yeah, man. Congrats on that.
Thank you again, bro.
Well, dude, thanks so much for being on. Thanks for everybody listening. Another great episode of Deal Champs. Until next time, peace.
Thanks, guys.